What you're listening to is a song called The Empty Mirror off a CD called A Distant Star, and every instrument that you're hearing is played by one and the same person. His name is Dustin Ehrlich, and making a bit of a name for himself in jazz guitar circles. Finally, as I said, just released this new CD. Again, it's called A Distant Star, and he probably will be a star one day, and he's not distant at the moment. He's actually with us in the studio, and also proud to say he's an old friend from my high school days. I think we were even in a band together, so it's kind of neat to bring back old ties and see how he's doing and how the music business is treating him and how he's treating the music business. And so, please welcome to the neighborhood, Dustin Ehrlich.
It's great to be here, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so good to see you. So good. We go back, 25 years? Something like that?
In that range, 25 years. It's a lot of years.
So, how was it growing up on Long Island in the South Shore, being a musical kind of a kid?
You know, to tell you the truth, it was a lot of fun because I was able to play music and share a lot of creative times with people like you. You're also musical. And all the people who we knew who were talented. It was great that way.
What band were you in that was part of what I was in and that we were doing?
The band called The Moist Sheep.
What you were in, but you weren't.
I was in The Moist Sheep for a very brief period of time because I was 13 years old. Mm-hmm. And obviously very honored to be selected as the bassist for that band.
And right, I'll tell a little bit about the band. It was a comedy rock band patterned after mainly Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. It was the idea that rock could still really rock out and also be funny, which has later been taken on by such things as Tenacious D and a whole bunch of other bands. But we were really trying to be, after Zappa, the second realm of being completely zany, but still having real good musicians and good songs. So it was myself, I was one of the songwriters, Scott Rogalitz, the wonderful Wenig brothers, whom I'm seeing around town these days, and also you were there, but just for a brief moment.
That's true. What happened was, like I said, it was very flattering to be selected and everything, because you guys were considerably older than me at the time. And back then, the years really make a difference.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking like a year or two older, but yeah.
Maybe more than that, actually. Because you must have been 17 or 18, and I was 13.
Okay, yeah.
So, anyway.
But the molestation didn't happen until you were almost like 17, right? Or
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. That's an official joke, folks. But actually, what happened was, since the rehearsals were late at night and in Queens, the ones that I'd gone to, my parents forbade me, if that's the word, to continue playing with you guys because of it was interfering with my schoolwork.
I mean, the funny thing, we were such normal kids. I mean, a couple of the guys, were playing at being, adult, and there was some smoking going on and some drinking and stuff, but we were very, very straight kids.
Oh,
and yet two people in the bands, we had one who, was too young and the other one, stay up late at night. We had another guy who ended up turning born-again Christian on us.
Who's that?
That was one of our drummers. I remember the name. I'm not going to say it on the air.
Okay, sure.
He was a very nice guy, very mellow, and he was a good drummer. And then one time, you're saying things about sheep and you're talking about certain subjects in your songs. I can't do this. You guys are just wrong.
And you were.
And we buried him in a satanic ritual.
They'll never find the corpse. Quicklime is the answer.
Quicklime is. But going from those early years of wanting to make big that we didn't. We gave up too quick, I thought.
Sure.
But you really pursued it, though. I mean, you took guitar very, very seriously. And what happened? How did that,
Well, I continued with music throughout high school and played with the local jazz band, studied in a local music school, Stecker and Horowitz School of the Arts, which, coincidentally, since we're talking about this, I was walking down around Fifth Avenue the other day, and I saw two gentlemen who I recognized from their picture over the mantelpiece at that music school. And I said, "Excuse me, I know you. You're Stecker and Horowitz." And they looked identical. They turned to me and they said, "You were a bass player. You had long hair and you had an interesting-looking beard." And I said, "My God, you remember me 25 years later." And they were so happy to see me, and I was so happy to see them. And it was I said, you guys had such a great music school. It was a beautiful experience. My teachers there were fantastic. So just through the encouragement and enthusiasm surrounding music, then I continued with music in college. Played with a bunch of different bands, and after college continued, and here we are today. I've just been plugging away at my own material. And
you've also studied with some fairly well-known, in jazz guitar circles.
That's true.
Some fairly known people, such as...
That's true. I studied with Sal Salvador for a bit back in the early 90s, around 93 or so. And I studied with... that was in New York.
Didn't America attack Sal Salvador at one point?
That's true. And he fought back using his guitar.
That's
true.
The weapon that kills fascists. The guitar,
It was camouflage guitar.
Right.
But then I also studied with Mark Stefani before that, who's a San Francisco guitar teacher, who's pretty well known also. So those were great experiences also, you know.
Well, one of the things that we were doing while I was planning this interview with you is I asked you what you listened to, what music you were into, because the guys I was with and myself, we were all Dylan and the Bowie era and Zappa and rock and roll and I think Tom Waits, stuff like that. And you almost drew a blank on all these things, and the list of influences and people that you listen to are so different. Who were they, or are they?
Interesting. Back when I was a teenager, I mostly listened to a lot of progressive rock stuff like Genesis, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I also listened to a lot of punk and hardcore, GBH, MDC, Motorhead, stuff like that, and some metal, Iron Maiden, etc. And but really was definitely more of a Genesis, Mike Rutherford kind of inspired. Greg Lake, bassist who also played guitar, because I played guitar also from the age of 13, guitar and bass. So that dual identity, if you want to call it that, it really spoke to me because I had that in me. So I continued with that model, playing bass and guitar. And later on, got into jazz. First Charlie Parker through some of the stuff we did in school. And then later on in college, got very into Coltrane and also other jazz guitarists, Barney Kessel, Tal Farlow. And more after that, into John Abercrombie, Ralph Towner, Terry Ripdahl, some of the artists associated with the ECM sound. And that's
what
really
does that stand for? East Coast Music or what?
Well, it's probably the initials of the owner of the company, which is Manfred Eicher. So I don't know his middle name, but M.E. is probably Manfred Eicher, and C probably has something to do with it, too.
Well, let's get to a little bit of music, because you have a CD out. Congratulations.
That's true. Thank you very much.
On which you play, like, all the instruments, like that Paul McCartney 2 record.
That's true.
Where you did everything, and was that a conscious choice? You just either didn't want to work with any other musicians, or you just, hey, I can do this, and I want the sound to be just me?
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, as we've talked about my musical history, I've had a lot of different types of experiences. I played with some very good people, some people who maybe weren't so good or weren't as committed to the same direction that I had, and that's totally fine. So the time came when I'd been looking for people to play with, and it really came a point when I said, you know what, the quickest route to get to my destination, which is to get the first CD of my music out, is to do it myself, because I'm spending an awful lot of time looking for other people who are as committed to my goals as I am. And I can play these instruments, so why not do it myself? I know what I want to hear and what sounds good to me, so it was the easiest way to do it.
It does sound good.
Thank you very much.
It's really professional. It's a CD.
Thank you very much.
It's for real. It's called A Distant Star, and the track we're going to hear right now off the CD, you're going to play something live in a bit, but what's the track we're going to play?
The track we're going to play is called Clouds.
Well, we've been listening to Clouds from both sides now of Dustin Ehrlich, who is with me, jazz guitarist and rising musician. He's going to have a write-up in, 20th Century Guitarist magazine, coming up either in September or October, one of their upcoming issues.
That's right.
Are you playing clubs? Are you doing any of that?
I'm scheduled to play in a couple of clubs around Manhattan right now. I'm working with different booking agents, but I'm also started to record my second CD already, so I'm kind of busy with that and promoting this CD. So that's taking up all my time, really. Is
music your full-time career yet? Are you able to support yourself as a professional musician at this point? Have you done studio gigs or stuff like that?
Unfortunately, I'm not. I mean, I'm very focused on putting my own material out. I'm aware that there are other opportunities for people who want to play, club dates or weddings or whatever, and that's great for some people, and maybe I'll do that at some point. But right now, my goal is to focus entirely on my own original music and promoting that. So to that end, I do have a day job.
What do you do? I'm just curious.
Sure. I'm in the software business.
Oh, excellent.
Sure.
Any particular kind, or?
I basically was an application developer for many years, and now I'm moving more into the Unix realm.
So has that helped with editing music and doing things in the studio there, or is it completely a separate?
It's somewhat of a separate entity, but you can transfer over some general computer savvy in terms of knowing how to get around a machine, knowing how to set up a machine. I built my own computer specifically for music, so not that that's a huge deal, but those kinds of skills come in handy when you really are doing computer-based music, recording on your own in your own house.
Right. Well, Dustin Ehrlich, I wish we had a lot more time to talk, but then we couldn't play a whole lot of music, which is what we're going to do. You're going to play something for us live, and this is actually my favorite track on the album.
Thank
but
you.
I'm going to hear you do it, just you and guitar. By the way, what brand of guitar do you play? I'm supposed to ask this of real musicians.
Oh, sure. This is a Seagull, which is made in Canada.
A Seagull from Canada.
That's
okay.
true.
And what's the song?
This song is called Remember.